with full autonomy. It's harder. Now, I have two groups of women friends today on this issue. One group of women friends says that what you're saying is utter nonsense, that they in their lives are able to act with complete autonomy. They say that this position you're expressing is condescending to women, degrading of women, right, and demeaning of women. That's one position. The second position, which I'm calling the Dalit position, for now, right, says you are absolutely right. That actually this feminist notion of human, of feminine autonomy, right, is complete nonsense, right, and that once a woman is involved, right, sexually, she actually loses, right, her ability to be kind of fully discerning, and therefore the only genuine possibility, going back to the only sacred possibility, is a better way to say it, right, is a long-term for life monogamous relationship between a man and a woman, right? Now, and there's a huge part of me that's kind of holding that today, right, as the highest possibility. Now let me ask you a question. So what do we do with that today, right, in a society, right, in which that doesn't seem to be an easy possibility? I mean, you're not married, Luke, right?
Right.
No. I assume you've been involved with women?
With at least 40 women in my life.
Okay. And
some of them were porn stars, and they were able to have sex without emotional commitment. Okay. So what do we do today? In other words, on the one hand, and here we get to the gap issue again, right? So what do we do? In other words, our whole society is built in a way, right, that men and women go out. There's sex society. I mean, women are dressed immodestly. I mean, TV, billboards, everything is conspiring against that ideal that I described.
Right.
So, yeah, you'd have to battle all of society, not to mention your own nature, to try to fulfill that ideal.
So it's a hard ideal.
Very hard.
Very hard ideal. So is there a way? Okay, we're going to make you the rabbi now. Okay. Okay. So how do we navigate? Right. Rabbi Luke Ford. Right. How do we navigate society? How do we navigate?
Most people need to live in a ghetto. If you're going to fulfill this ideal, you're going to have to ghettoize yourself. You're going to have to. You shouldn't own a TV. You shouldn't go to movies. Maybe you shouldn't even look at the daily newspaper because there are bra ads. You should not be in a room alone with a woman. You should fulfill Orthodox Judaism. If you want to live this ideal, you basically have to become. Most people would have to become Orthodox.
Or religious Mormons, right? But not even
right.
Something like that.
Become religiously Orthodox.
Religiously Orthodox.
Most people would need that sort of religious rigor to be able to fulfill that ideal.
Right. No, I think that's right. And I think, by the way, Orthodox Judaism, right, is most powerful in this area because more than Mormonism, it prescribes any physical contact before marriage, and we know that physical contact is always a slippery slope, right? As you pointed out, if I could just unpack, right, a couple things you said, it says that being alone in a room with someone of the opposite sex is by itself a sexual event, right? It's called yichud, right, and therefore is prescribed,
exactly,
right? 2, 3, it allows, for sexuality only within the context of either marriage or a committed exclusive relationship, right? That's called pilegesh, right? That's another possibility, but it's still a committed exclusive relationship, and that ultimately that would make society, right, a healthier place. And I have to say that there's a large part of me that agrees with that. In other words, I would say that 3 years ago there wasn't. Right? 3 years ago I was more trying to kind of see what was possible. There's a large voice in me. There's a large Orthodox voice in me which feels that that's very powerful, that's very true, right? That's very compelling, and that is the great gift of Orthodoxy. It's a great gift. I have another voice. I want to kind of, own that voice as well. And the other voice is more anarchic. It's more boundary breaking. And the other voice, and I haven't finished my own self-clarification. I'm coming to the end of it, and I'm just about to kind of make a decision, as it were, between these voices. I spent a lot of the last years thinking about just this and writing about it. And the second book that I'm writing, right, is about this topic. And so I appreciate the clarification. But here's the second voice. The second voice is that sexuality is beautiful and gorgeous, that both men and women have the ability to be loving and sexual with each other, with full, honest, and clear intention, and that there are different stages of life. And the stages is really the key to this new hermeneutic, or this new vision that I was working with and I've been thinking about the last couple of years. Meaning, there's a stage in my life, right, in which, right, I am with different people. That's a stage in my life.
Sowing the wild oats.
Sowing the wild oats, playing the field, right, but in a sacred way, in a way which is not demeaning, a way which is disclosing a full intention, which is not, God forbid, deceptive, right, but, where I'm engaged in multiple, engagements, the woman may be going out with different people. That's a certain stage of life. At the end of that stage of life, right, I make a decision who I'm going to settle down with. I have a teacher, who's actually become my teacher in the last year. He's a very, very beautiful person. He married a woman from Paris, and she's a wonderful person. I know nothing about her. As he said, that they just never talk about before they're married. So that's a Parisian thing. And in Paris, there's stages. So there's till you're married, right? And then there's after you're married. And actually, it's not gentlemanly to actually ask about, what were you doing before you're married? Because it's just not, that was a different stage of life, right? And I think that may be a model which both holds the possibility of the beauty, of being with different partners and loving people fully, and at the same time holds open the possibility of then transitioning into a place of radical monogamy, right, at different stages of life. Now, I honestly don't know, Luke, which one's correct. Right? I have deep inner conflict, about which one, and I don't feel like I've purified my own, self sufficiently. And that's what I've tried to work on the last year, is to be able to get the most deep inside place, be able to look at that in the most honest way, what's possible, what's not. Here's the last sentence. I throw it back to you because it looks like you're about to say a bunch of things here. But it seems like every redemptive messianic movement in every religion, from the beginning of time until now, tried to rethink the sexual issue. Because everyone was stuck on this. And but they were stuck, and let me just say it clearly, and I'm completely passing over to you, and I'm sorry for talking so long. Right? It's yours in a second. See, the stuck problem is that the monogamy thing doesn't work so well either. Right? That actually, I've counseled people for 25 years, and they've done marriage counseling. I got to tell you something, right? I've talked to 95% of the monogamous married couples who are faithful and loyal to each other that I've met are miserable, right? They're stuck. They're devastated, right? Their spirits are closed. They're not open. They're not flowing to God. So in other words, there's something that's not working in this monogamy thing. If it was working, so then we're done. But actually, I found so many times that people marry the wrong person for this or that psychological reason. They're stuck in the marriage, they're embarrassed to get out of it, and their spirit begins to shrivel, and their children's spirit begins to shrivel. And then they begin to act out unethically in all areas of their life because there's something core that's rotten at the center, that's just absolutely devastated. And so the monogamy thing actually, for all the idyllic beauty we've described to it, actually isn't fully working. On the other hand, there's the very sharp critique that you've made, I think correctly, right, of the kind of, broad, multiple, free, and more open flowing position. And so the question is, so where do we go? In Buddhism they would call that a koan, meaning, how do you work that? So we're making you the rabbi here. But I'm just raising that as a question. I think you want to talk about other things. But I want to at least raise that. I don't want to finish it without raising. But there's a real problem here. It's a genuine issue. It's a genuine problem.
Yeah, no, I agree with all that.
You had a couple things there.
Yeah, but didn't relate to that. It's just I basically came here for one simple, non-trick question, and maybe this is time to ask it.
Okay, well let's stop. Let's take a break for a second.
Let's take a break.
Okay.